Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another live session with Julia, the boss teacher, and we're going to be talking about the importance of blooming wherever you reside, regardless, in spite of, irrespective of where you're residing, you are allowed. I'm giving you permission to bloom. Now, we are live on all platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube at Hello Boss Teacher. So if you haven't already, make sure that you're following, you're subscribing, you're turning your notifications so that you know exactly when we are live. So you can grab the content first. You are able to interact with us live with me and or my guests, ask your questions, and definitely get a response. Or if you're lucky, I might have a live dedicated to just answering your questions. So make sure you join the boss teacher family. So another thing I want you to do is go ahead and share. Forgot about that. Make sure you're sharing this channel, this page with somebody. I'm pretty sure you can think of at least one person that you think it will benefit. Like, people are coming here all the time and getting all this awesome content. Don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you are sharing it with at least one person that you know is going to benefit, and they will come back and thank you for helping to change their life. So let's jump right into the topic that we want to be talking about today: blooming where you reside. You want to be blooming regardless, irrespective of where you are. Why is this so important? Why did I bring this up? I brought this up because I was having a conversation. I was being interviewed for a show. And one of the things we were talking about was the fact that I am from Jamaica, right? This is a Jamaican accident. Accident? This is a Jamaican accent with all the amazing things that our Olympic team just did in Tokyo. Yeah, I am totally representing Jamaica as well. Sometimes you will find in the earlier days, people used to be surprised by the fact that right? It doesn't matter. You still can get noticed regardless of where you live. So here are the three things that I definitely want to share with you. There are major problems that you will experience with your internet as somebody from a third world or any other country that's not a first world country. And of course, first world countries have these problems too. But us here in the Caribbean, in the third world nations, we have them greater because our internet provider is not the greatest. There are some parts of Jamaica that are still without internet. People are only able to connect using data on their phones. And even so, there's still some parts where people have to be walking around on top of a hill outside somewhere on their roof just to get a signal. And I understand the limitations that that brings. So whenever you have to show up live on social, whenever you have to host a webinar, whenever you have to do anything for that matter as it relates to building your business, your internet might very well fail you. I remember being on a training session and the facilitators were in one of those small islands in Hawaii. And it was a big session, like people all over the world had joined. It was hundreds of us. And everybody was locked down. We were waiting for the facilitators to come on. Nothing. And so when the person who was in the back end, the control room, he had to come on and let us know that they're having internet issues, and people were quarreling and say they should have made plans for things like this. But like if you're living in a first world country, you don't understand that you don't make plans for when internet is gone. That's not something you can do. But regardless of whether or not your internet is reliable, it might cut you off in the middle of a webinar. What can you do instead? Here are two things that you can do. Well, one that I have done. Here's what you can do. You can create your videos beforehand and schedule them out. So for example, what I'm doing right now is live, but I could have easily well recorded it prior to coming on here, uploaded it into my platform, and play it as if I was live just the same. I could have easily done that. If you're not doing long form live videos that I am, or webinars that I do very often, maybe your platform could be TikTok or YouTube Shorts, where you're posting these very short 1 minute video, 30-second video, but in the same breath, you are giving value to your community. So if you know you live in bush like me, because where I am from, where I'm originally from, not where I'm living, where I'm originally from, we hardly have any internet there. When I have to talk to my mom, sometimes she has to go outside just to get good signal. So if I was still living in that community, I couldn't do these things as freely as I could. But there is an alternative. Creative videos beforehand. You can take a day out of the month, a day out of the week, and just batch record your content and schedule it out when you do have access. So when you are not online, or when the provider kicks you off, your content, the value that you're delivering to the world is still going O-U-T. Zin? Zimmy? Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh my goodness, I have to give you a piece of the Jamaican personality, you know. Can't keep it to myself. We are an exciting bunch. So schedule your content, right? So when the internet is acting up, you know exactly you're still safe. Your community is still going to get the value that they deserve. The second excuse that I see a lot of people coming up with is that they don't have any money. This is a poor country. We don't have all the resources that we need to do all the amazing things. And yes, that might be a fact, but there is a way around that. There is an alternative. Listen, if you are building a digital business, you do not need a single dollar to start that business. Let me say that again. If you are building a digital business, you do not need a single dollar to start that business. I don't care which currency you have in your country. You don't need it. As long as you have a device, which you already have anyway. Everybody has a smartphone. As long as you have internet, and if you can't afford data, or if you don't have internet, find a cafe. There's free Wi-Fi in many public places. And you start sharing videos if video is your thing. You start writing blogs if blog is your thing. You start doing a podcast if a podcast is your thing. All of those things can be done on your phone. and you build your personal brand. Decide what you want your brand to represent. And even if you can't think of anything to sell right now, because you don't even have to start out selling a thing. You just start out sharing valuable content, going back to TikTok, going back to YouTube Shorts. You don't need money to start creating content. Here's what's going to happen. You are showing up every single day, every single week in front of your audience, giving value and representing your brand at the highest level. Guess what's going to happen? Two things can happen as it relates to making money. One, corporations can reach out to you. You ever see those people who've grown their following from 0 to thousands and millions, and now they're automatically an influencer? That's what happens. Brands reach out to these individuals and collaborate with them, pay them to do things for them, pay them for them to promote the corporate brand. So you might be able to get a sponsorship because you have been building your audience, or you might find that your audience begin to ask you for what they want. Your audience will begin to ask you for what they want because you are consistently putting out content. And in doing so, they see the value that you have to offer, and know they are ready to learn from you. And you might find that somebody start typing in the comments, hey, can we learn about XYZ? Can you teach me how to do this? Or they ask you, how do I do this? And when those questions start coming in, then you start asking your audience, is this something you would pay for? They'll tell you yes, or they'll tell you no. And if they tell you yes, you run with it. And that's when you start to develop your first product or your first service. The last I want to share with you is that one of the complaints I have here very often is that as somebody from the Caribbean who doesn't have a US accent, who doesn't have a Canadian accent, they think people won't understand what they're saying. We are afraid to show up. And I was there. Trust me, I was there. We are afraid to show up because we think people will not understand what we're saying. People won't listen to us because our accent is different. Let me tell you something. Let me just tell you something. They love it. They love it. They love it. They love it. They love your accent. They love my accent. Anything that sounds different and unique, they love it. So own the accent, because it's going to start grabbing people's attention. Own it and speak it. Be proud of it because they love it. And then there are some times when, for me, I know as a Caribbean, I've heard other Caribbean people say the exact same thing, that when they're in their element and they're excited and passionate about whatever it is that they're saying, we tend to speak really, 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 really fast. And so sometimes I might be talking to our audience and people are like, whoa, Julia, can you slow down for us a bit? Because the excitement is coming through. And that, if I am not conscious, right now I'm very conscious of the pace that I am speaking. But if I get lost in the moment and I'm just sharing without being conscious of my pace, then I might lose some people. And so what I have done deliberately over the past few years is I've been practicing. So for me to be able to be speaking at this space so that an international audience can understand without me racing off and getting all excited and into what I'm saying, it takes practice. It took me practice. So stand in front of the mirror and speak. Listen to yourself and listen to the pace at which you are going. See if it is something comfortable. Call a friend who is living in another country, who's from a different culture, and just talk to them as if you were talking to an audience and ask them, can you hear me clearly? Am I talking too fast? Am I talking too slow? Is this a good pace for you? Like, if you were in an audience, would this be okay? Would you be getting the message? I've known people who have gone to the extent of adopting another culture's accent. That has worked too. I don't intend to do all of that work, so I just focus on keeping a steady pace when I am talking. So there is a solution for everything. You don't need to hold yourself back because you're from Jamaica, or because you're from Antigua, or because you're from Trinidad, or because you're from the Seychelles or somewhere else in the world that is less known and less talked about, or because you don't have an American accent or you can't pull it off. Don't hold yourself back, because you can still thrive, you can still bloom, you can still flourish, irrespective of, regardless of where you live in this world. Don't hold yourself back. And if you need help to really put your message out there, send me a direct message. I will talk about how I can help you to thrive and to flourish, being your true and authentic self. If you have any questions about just how I'm able to manage in this global space, being a Jamaican and all, navigating conversations with people from all over the world, type in the comments and I'll definitely be responding to you. So that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow for another live. Do not forget to follow me, to subscribe to me at Hello Boss Teacher. So whenever I go live, you can join the conversation on all of the different platforms. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok as Hello Boss Teacher. Right? You can join the conversation, ask your questions, get your responses, and just help to grow into your authentic self, and while offering value to the world and getting handsomely paid to do it. All right, that's it for today. I will see you at another time. Toodles.